Hello, I'm Elif Bereketli and this is Newsfeed, your dose of what people are talking about online. These scenes unfolded following the death of Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, better known as El Mencho. He was one of the world's most wanted drug traffickers and leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. He died after being wounded in a military raid and taken into custody. In response, cartel gunmen set fire to vehicles and businesses across Mexico.
Mencho was killed in an army operation in Mexico.
What happened?
El Mencho was a former police officer and led the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. They were so powerful they had access to armored vehicles, RPGs, and even shot down military helicopters. And he was so dangerous he had a $15 million bounty on his head in the U.S. He's known to be the biggest drug trafficker in Mexico known to man right now.
How did they know where to find him?
Mexican security forces closed in after they finally tracked his location. But the firefight was so bad that even the Mexican army had to go to the hospital. El Mencho was shooting himself, so he got shot and died on the way to the hospital. And now mass violence is breaking out all over Mexico across 5 different states. They're shooting police officers, blocking roads, setting buses on fire, and many more. And it's so dangerous that tourists are advised to stay inside and not go outside.
How did this gang get so big in the first place?
He grew up in poverty and started trafficking illegal substances. He was even arrested in the U.S. in the 1990s and later deported, but then he joined a cartel called Mileno. And after those leaders got arrested, he started his own cartel.
U.S. President Donald Trump has been putting pressure on Mexico over the drug cartels. In January, just hours after the U.S. abducted Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro, the president suggested he could expand his military campaign to target Mexican cartels. The U.S. confirmed they provided intelligence ahead of the latest operation.
Now, let's be frank, this didn't just happen in a vacuum. The United States has taken a very aggressive pose towards cartels. We saw what happened in Venezuela, and the president has said that he is willing to do the same thing in Mexico, not to the Mexican president, but to the cartels. And of course, Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum has said, you can't just come in here and do that. That is a violation of our sovereignty. And the president has made it very clear to Sheinbaum that he's not only considering military intervention, but he'll put in higher import tariffs against Mexico, and that would crush the Mexican economy. He pretty much has delivered an ultimatum saying, if you fail to demonstrate concrete gains in curbing drug trafficking, then we're doing this. And it looks like President Sheinbaum took a page out of former Mexican President Felipe Calderón's and made an even bigger book out of it, because even under Calderón, who is known for going after the cartels, has not seen such a quick precision strike against cartel leadership like this. But make no mistake, if the cartels are effectively diminished, then this is a huge win for the White House.
Protests in Iran resumed at the weekend with major demonstrations at universities. What started off as protests against the soaring cost of living in Tehran in December quickly spiraled into nationwide calls for a change in government. Reza is in the capital, Tehran, with the latest developments.
We had protests in at least 2 universities in Tehran, and on Sunday they grew to at least 5 universities in the capital and another major university in the northeastern city of Mashhad. So far it seems that the authorities, the government is tolerating these protests. We haven't seen clashes between police and students because many people here believe and fear that a war may be imminent. We know that the United States has beefed up its military presence in the region. We are seeing a massive U.S. military buildup reported to be the biggest since 2003 Iraq war. At the same time, Iran is also conducting naval drills in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran is warning that any attack on its soil could spread to the entire region. And as the region holds its breath for a possible war, all eyes are on diplomacy to see whether a last-ditch deal can be made. We know that Iran's foreign minister and chief negotiator, Abbas Araghchi, is heading to Geneva on Thursday for a new round of negotiations with the United States, with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. We don't know whether these negotiations would be successful or not, but we know that there are big gaps in the stances of Iran and the United States, especially when it comes to uranium enrichment. Tehran says it has a right to enrich uranium on its soil as a member of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, and the United States is not accepting that. So we'll have to wait and see whether a last-ditch concession will be made, or probably we're going to see a war in the country and in the region.
U.S. warships and aircraft are being deployed to the Middle East. It's being considered the biggest assembly of military assets in the region since the Gulf War. And it's raised fears that President Trump will attack Iran if the Geneva talks fail.
Protests in Iran happened in 2026 in January. The U.S. military didn't have all their ducks in a row for a decisive strike. But now, those ducks are being put in a row. Quack, quack. Because the largest U.S. military buildup since the Gulf War is currently underway. The 2 U.S. aircraft carriers and hundreds of U.S. fighter jets are now moving into position, and they're surrounding Iran, preparing for a decapitation strike. The leader of the Islamic Republic has tweeted in response, threatening to send these American warships to the bottom of the sea, the geopolitical equivalent of come at me, bro. Meanwhile, 25,000 American troops are now moving in to reinforce the Middle East.
Here's the thing, it seems that both countries are preparing for that possibility. The US has sent not 1 but 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East, one of which is the largest warship in the world. They've also sent a huge fleet of 50+ fighter jets, including F-22s, F-35s, F-16s. And Iran, in response, has begun repairing and fortifying military sites as seen by satellite imagery. And they've also carried out a number of military drills of their own, but they've carried them out with the support of Russian troops. Iran's supreme leaders also made a number of pretty serious threats, like he suggested they could sink one of America's aircraft carriers, as well as saying that U.S. secrets will be exposed.
Shots were fired at Mar-a-Lago and an armed man is now dead. U.S. Secret Service agents, alongside a deputy from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, shot and killed a man who entered the security perimeter of President Trump's Florida residence. Trump was not in Florida at the time of the incident. He was in Washington, D.C. U.S. media have identified the suspect as Austin T. Martin, a 21-year-old from North Carolina. Authorities say he was carrying a shotgun and a fuel canister when he accessed the property. Investigators say he got in through the north gate as the guest was exiting.
There's been another assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Now, what's crazy about this is once again, a kid. I don't understand this. Are they being brainwashed? Is this MK Ultra? Is this a false flag? What's going on? Apparently his parents reporting him missing, and he was only gone for a few hours. So whether you agree with Donald Trump's politics or not, one thing's for sure, this has got to stop. Violence is never the answer, people, and we need to wake up and come together as a country and as a people and resolve our differences.
Meanwhile, the U.S. tariff saga rumbles on. President Trump says he will impose new global tariffs up to 15% after the U.S. Supreme Court struck down his previous import taxes. On Friday, he said he'd replace the scrapped tariffs with a 10% levy on all goods entering the U.S. But a day later, he said that the rate would instead be raised to the maximum allowed under a rarely used trade law.
The US Supreme Court ruled that Donald Trump's tantrum tariffs that he brought in last April using a stupid chart and a dog equation that didn't make any sense were no longer, and actually never should have been, allowed. That's because Donald Trump had brought in the tariffs on the basis of there being a national emergency that only tariffs could fix. The first time that the US Supreme Court had got round to having a look at what those national emergencies were. And their general conclusion was, are you joking, Donald? None of these make any sense. They included the so-called public health emergency caused by Mexico, Canada and China purposefully pumping drugs into the US. Not true. And the national emergency caused by Brazil threatening to ban Elon Musk's X. I'm not joking, that's one of the reasons they tariffed Brazil. Even 2 of the Supreme Court justices that Donald Trump appointed turned around and said, listen, you can't be doing this, Donald, which caused Donald to have a total hissy fit and call them all traitors.
They also are a frankly, disgrace to our nation.
What this ruling means is that the US government might now have to refund all of the American companies who have been importing goods under the old tariffs, which could cost them as much as $300 billion. But wait, Donald's got another ingenious idea. He's going to use Section 122 of the 1977 Trade Act, because Section 122 of the 1977 US Trade Act allows the president to impose up to 15% tariffs on countries around the world. And because it's never been used before, the courts have never had the chance to look at the wording, so they don't know if it's allowed or not. And Trump's replaced all of the old tariffs with a blanket 10% tariff on everyone on the planet. But according to Section 122, he's only allowed to do it for 150 days before he has to get congressional approval. So all in all, we're still in tariff land. Brilliant.
UK-based activist group Everyone Hates Elon hung a now infamous photo of former Prince Andrew at the Louvre Museum. The image was taken after his arrest last week. The printed and framed image was displayed with the words, "He's sweating now." It's a reference to the interview he gave to the BBC 6 years ago, in which he said he was unable to sweat. The photo was taken after Andrew was released from custody on February the 19th. He was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Emails reportedly show that while serving as the UK's trade envoy, he shared sensitive financial information with convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. The arrest was welcomed by large sections of the public and has reignited speculation over long-standing allegations of sexual misconduct. While most of us fancy a cup of coffee in the morning, have you ever stopped to think about where it comes from and the process behind the perfect brew? Rahul has been in Ethiopia and picked up the scent.
It's really good coffee, by the way. Here in Ethiopia, coffee is a cultural cornerstone and a source of national pride for all Ethiopians.
Anything that the machine missed, these people handpick and remove. As you can see, these are what they removed. You can see now when the machine is pulping this parachipment, this is unpulped. The machine missed it, so they removed it. This is the broken chip beans. They removed it. This hollow beans. They removed it.
Only the perfect beans make it through this round.
Yes.
It really is a labor of love.
Coffee culture is like unity, friendship. So it has a lot of value in Ethiopia. We have our own coffee ceremony.
Beans are carefully sieved through to meet global standards and roasted in massive machines daily. Then they're packed and sent all around the world. So I thought I'd share this cup of coffee with you. Ethiopian Arabica beans has long been a pantry staple at my home. But what about you? Where's your caffeine fix from?
And that's our show. Find our latest stuff on YouTube and do subscribe to our channel. See you soon.